welcome to episode 98 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest, and you can find show notes for this episode and all previous episodes on the corresponding number thread of the This Old Knit Ravelry group. So thank you guys for joining me. Welcome to any new viewers, and welcome back to any returning viewers. I really appreciate you coming to check out my podcast. So this week I have some knitting and some sewing. This is extremely impromptu. I actually was planning on sewing during this time, but I finished up the bit that I planned to do, and then I don't know if I have time to start the next thing I was going to do. So I'm just going to podcast with you guys instead. And I have all of the windows open today. I am in my craft room, but we're not actually that far from the road, and it's a main road between two smaller towns, so it's a very busy road. So while we have woods between us and the forest between us and the road, the sound really carries because we're kind of in a little valley type thing, and it's very rocky terrain, so everything echoes a lot. So if a large truck passes by, you probably will hear them, like, what is that called? Engine braking? Yes, it's engine braking. You'll hear them engine braking. I'm not being killed by a bulldozer or anything like that. So yeah, it's been 2 weeks, and I am so excited to be podcasting. I feel like I'm getting a lot of things done. I was sharing this morning that I was chatting with someone, and I was sharing that I feel a finishing mood coming on, which usually happens right around this time of year. It's right when it's transitioning into fall. I feel this desire to finish a lot of things and have a nice pile of stuff ready to go into the cooler season. And it is definitely turning into fall. So like I said, we have the windows open, which is great. We don't have to run the air conditioning. And at night, it's dropping down to 57 to 59 degrees, which is, of course, it's not nice math. Subtract 30, divide by 2, about 14 degrees Celsius. So really comfortable, nice enough to have a blanket on, because I hate sleeping with just a sheet. Is that just me, or do other people feel that too? I like to have some weight. I don't know, it just feels more cozy. So when I could actually have a real blanket on my bed, I sleep much better. And that's what's happening now. I moved my coffee warmer over, so my coffee will actually stay warm. As always, thank you, Meg, from the Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits podcast. She recommended that at one point in her podcast, and it is the best thing ever. Unfortunately, I didn't think very well about how I was stacking my items, so I have things on the top that are going to be worked on, and I have things on the bottom that are my FOs. So let's turn this thing on its head, and I will share with them. I'll just work my way down in the pile. I will share with you as I come to things. The things that are on top right now are my sewing stuff, because that was what I was going to work on, but again, I don't think I have time to start it. So Megwin starts school next week. She will be going into 3rd grade, which is very exciting. That was one of my favorite grades ever in school, so I have very high hopes for her. But I did want to do some sewing of clothing for her. She doesn't have, she has a lot of jeans, and they fit her, but she doesn't like them. She wants to wear dresses, leggings, slacks. She just doesn't like jeans. Just weird. I like wearing jeans, but to each his own. So I have a pattern that I got for her a while ago, and I really want to make it. I think it'd be a super cute outfit, but I do not think, I'm not going to have it ready for school, and that's okay. So it's a Clever Charlotte pattern. It's the Raven hoodie and pants. So you can see the pants have little pleated pockets. They have a nice line on the front of them. I think they have adjustable elastic waist on the back, but then they have a front waistband piece that's just flat. And it goes from, this one goes from size 2T to 8. So, yeah, I think she's a size 8 right now. So I need to make it this year or I'm not going to be able to make it at all, which would really suck. My husband wanted to make this little jacket with wax canvas. So he has some leftover duck fabric that's in navy blue, and he wanted to wax it because he thought that'd be kind of cool. Then it would be a little bit waterproof-y and fun for when we're camping. And I have some really cute corduroy that's navy blue with little ladybugs all over it, so I think it'd be really cute for this set of pants. And it does recommend corduroy as one of the possible fabrics. Yeah, for the pants, twill, corduroy, linen, or other bottom weight woven fabrics. So I think the corduroy will be perfect. I have just the right amount. It was sent to me by a friend quite a while ago that she was destashing a bunch of stuff she never sewed for her daughter. So I don't want to do the same thing and then have it go to no one. So I need to sew that up. The next thing, this was the one I was actually going to work on today, but I'm not. I've cut out all of the pieces, so I drafted and cut out all my pattern pieces for this. I'm going to, it is New Look 6022, and I'm going to make this version right here. So it's similar to the one on the model, but it has cap sleeves instead. Part of the reason for that is I think it will be easier to layer a cardigan on it, which will give it more ability to go through the seasons, because this version, the sleeves are gathered on the bottom, so I think they'd be really bunchy under a cardigan. And the other reason is that I don't think I have enough fabric to do these longer sleeves. I'm going to be cutting it pretty close as it is. I think I have 2 1/4 yards, and it calls for 2 1/2 yards, but I think with strategic placement of the sleeves, I will be okay. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It does have a neck-facing band, which if I really had to, I could probably just use bias tape for that. And that might squeak out a little bit more yardage as well. It's just a long, thin piece though, and it is cut on the bias. And that's cut at the end after all the other pieces, so you kind of lay it across and half of it hangs off, and then once you cut out your other parts, you unfurl the fabric and lay it and cut it out. So it's possible I could kind of finagle that to make it work. But anyway, I'm excited about that. This is what fabric I'm going to be using for it, which was the other reason I didn't want it to be a super complicated pattern. I have some more detailed patterns. This one's kind of like a peasant dress, I think is what this style is called. But this is a pretty busy fabric, so I wanted to just let it be a very simple line and sort of let the fabric speak for itself. So it is a lot of different vintage stamps, and the crown is actually glittery. Of course it is, right? Because it's mine. But I have a pair of pink heels that I think this will look super cute with. And I have a little pink lace cardigan that I can wear over it. That will be good for kind of transitioning it into fall. And then, yeah, I think it'd be cute with like some tights and knee-high boots, which I'm in the market for. So if you know a good place to get a pair of brown knee-high boots, or, you know, up to the, yeah, knee-high, let me know. So that is that. I believe this is buttercream fabric from Joann Fabrics. I bought it a while ago. I was going to make something for Megwin, but again, she changed her mind and didn't really like this, but I love it. Which is why I only have 2.5 yards, because that would be more than enough to make a dress for Megwin. If I was going to make a dress for me, I normally buy 3 yards just to be safe, and then I can pretty much pick any pattern to make with it. So it's fine. I'll make it work. If it doesn't work for that dress, I will probably make a skirt out of it, because I think it'd be a cute pencil skirt. And then I would be able to wear it with, I have a couple of different, like I said, I have that pink sweater, and I could wear it with like a gray underneath, or I have a few 3/4 length darker pink sweaters that would also work. So that is it for sewing that I plan. And again, I've got planning going down, so we'll go with it. As I mentioned last podcast, I am also working on trying to make enough socks for the kids to each have enough to wear every day of the week. So 7 pair each is what I'm aiming for. Megwin has 3 pair, I think, that fit her. There's a pair she got from Jessica for her birthday. There's a pair that I knit for her out of Felici last year. And then there's the pair I knit out of the Regia Baby Smiles with the purple glittery heels and toes. So those 3 all still fit her. There's one pair that I'm not sure if it fits her or not. They were out of my first Regia ball with a white toe and heel and cuff. Those were starting to get a little bit tight on her last year, so they probably don't fit her anymore. But that's fine, I'll just set them aside, and they could be good for Joshua later, because they're like a really nice light blue with just little hints of purple and like I said, white, so perfect for him. So this one, I dug through my leftovers, because I always have a ton left over from when I knit socks. It's typically enough for either Joshua or Megwin to have a pair of socks. This was a pair of socks that I knit for my Aunt Lynn when she was still alive, obviously. And she had a lot of issues with her feet because she had diabetes. And so I made some socks that would, you know, stretch if she had swelling or anything like that. So this is creatively dyed in the steel base, I believe. I think it is a BFL. It is a super high twist, and this yarn almost feels a little ropey to knit with, to be honest, but it's super, super hard wearing. She doesn't dye anymore. But it was this really cool dark teal and neon green. So Joshua would really love this, and I'm going to make these for him. I don't believe I will need to use a contrast color, but I'm not sure. I will check as I'm kind of knitting down the first sock. I think what I'll do is I will knit to the toe and then see where I am, and then I can add a contrast toe if I need to kind of stretch it a little bit. But this is a lot of yardage. This is pretty beefy still. So I think it'll be fine, and it is that bright. It's crazy. And then I have 2 balls of the My First Regia in colorway 01814. So it is peach, pink, and purple. Megwin picked this out a while ago, and 2 balls should be enough to make a pair of socks for her, I think. Again, I have lots of stuff that could match this. I'm looking over there because I have something. I don't know where it went. I had a leftover that's just exactly that darker peachy color that I used to knit a sweater for Molly's second baby, the host of A Homespun House and the dyer behind A Homespun House Yarns. I had a little bit left over of that. It is fiber optic, I believe in the Rhoda colorway. So that could work for heels and toes on this, but I don't think I'm going to need it. Again, I think this will be enough. And I'm knitting those as part of the Hey Sister podcast Saturday Sockathon. So they're doing socks every Saturday, just knit on some socks for a couple hours. That is keeping me pretty motivated. So I am almost done with a pair of socks for Megwin, which I will show when I get down to them. And then this last one is, I think, going to be for Joshua because I don't really have enough to make socks for Megwin. This is another My First Regia. Megwin was just really excited about the tiny balls of yarn, and she wanted to get all the colors. So last time we went to my local yarn store together that was in Dublin, Ohio, she picked out at least one of each of them, and a couple of them I grabbed an extra one if there were two, so that I'd be able to make socks for her, but this one, there was not. There was only one ball. I do not know the colorway because Joshua has taken the label and torn it off at some point, I think when he was younger. I've had this one for a while, because we hadn't been together to the yarn shop in probably like 6 months. So anyway, Mystery My First Regia. It's a lot of deep teals, blues, greens, and like an olive. It reminds me of very oceany colors. And I'm going to pair it with this one, which is the leftovers of a Nomi of the Lake doppelganger from Amanda, who is was No Makers, the dyer behind No Makers. And all of the yarn I have left of No Makers is super precious, and it needs to all be used. So this will be the heels, toes, and cuffs. This, I believe, is in deep blue something, I think is the colorway name, and it goes with Nomi of the Lake is the contrasting color. I made my, I don't remember the name of that shawl. It's like a horseshoe shape shawl. I'm not going to remember it. I'm sorry. But you can look at my projects. It's there. And yeah. So I have this much left from that shawl because it was the contrast on the bottom. So I used quite a lot. So I think those will all be really great socks for the kids. I gotta set them up for the Connecticut winter because I'm sure it's going to be more intense than an Ohio winter ever thought about being. So, socks, socks, socks. This is an empty Chow-Goo. It's a size 5, of course it is. I love the Chow-Goo red lace. Look at that cable. So flexible. It is awesome. And the points are very pointy. I want more of these. I believe I bought this one from Handsome Fibers. They have free shipping no matter what size of order that you have. So for needles, they are amazing because, yeah, sometimes you just need to get needles. And I hate paying like $7 shipping for a needle that costs $7. So, yeah, they're great for last minute needle ordering. So I have a Tale of Woe. Did I bring my Tale of Woe to share? I don't know if I did bring my Tale of Woe. I may not have. Okay. Sunset Highway. So my Sunset Highway pullover, I cast it on. Let's get some coffee, shall we? I'm feeling verklempt. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so my Sunset Highway pullover. I was knitting it out of the Yarn at Home Mom yarns. 4 beautiful colors. Very excited. I got all of this short row shaping done on the neck, and I got about that much of the color work done. I really feel like I need to show you guys. Let me pause. I did have it. I just had it buried. As soon as I stood up, I saw it. It's in this bag. Okay, so working along. I got the short row shaping done on the top. I got all the way down through the first color work section, like these teardrops. And I liked it. I thought it was beautiful. It's really coming out nicely, right? And I kept thinking, it seems kind of big. So I gauge swatched. And the gauge for this pattern on fingering weight is 5.5 stitches per inch. That is super open. I didn't like it. I could only get to 7.5 or 7 stitches per inch. So somewhere between 7 and 7.5 stitches per inch. Okay, fine. So I looked at the stitch count that I would end up with for, you know, the bust at the biggest part of the sweater. I did calculations and I figured out that to get to a 38-inch bust, I would need to have the size large. And the size large, with the stated gauge in the pattern, said it would be 49 inches circumference. Now, the pattern calls for knitting it with 6 inches of positive ease. So they say go up above your bust measurement enough to give you 6 inches of ease. But I was going off of the finished garment measurement chart. So the finished garment measurement chart said large would be 49-inch circumference with 5.5 stitches per inch. I have 7.5 stitches per inch. So doing the large should have resulted in a smaller circumference. No. So last night I was like, all right, everything was really bunched up on this needle, which is a 24-inch needle. So I was like, okay, I'll put it on a 36. Should still be okay. It will be a little bunched up, but it'll be better and I'll be able to get a better idea. I put it on a 36-inch cable. Still seemed really bunched up. So I'm like, oh my God. Okay, well, let me put it on my 60-inch cable because then I can have it hanging out. Like, I often do this for trying on sweaters. So, little tip for all of you. I have interchangeable needles and I have a 60-inch cable and I use it specifically to try on my sweaters as I'm knitting them. So I put it on the 60-inch cable. And I could knit it on the 60-inch cable, which means that the circumference right now is bigger than 60 freaking inches. My husband could wear this sweater. I thought, okay. Maybe my gauge changed. Maybe it's really loose on the color work. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe my gauge swatch is a dirty, filthy liar. Let's measure. No. 7 stitches per inch for the color work. So, this is officially in timeout. This is a 60-inch cable, and look at how much extra there is. There's something wrong with the sizing for this larger pattern, or the larger size on this pattern. There's something wrong. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong, because if I knit it at the gauge it was calling for, it would be even bigger. It's insane. It's like a lion ruff. So anyway, here, I'll put it on. So if I were to stretch it out, I mean, it's unblocked right now, guys. Like, look how much excess I've got This is nuts. Now, I expected it to maybe have a little bit, and I would have been okay if it had been more like 40 inches. You know, I could go with it. I could be okay with a little bit of positive ease. But no. No. I have a 38-inch upper bust circumference. So like 62 or whatever the heck this is going to be. Like, oh my God, I could be talking about 30 inches of positive ease? No. So it has to get frogged. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I will recast it on or if I will find something else for these yarns, because I do really love them together. I really do. And I think that they need to be together. Yeah. I don't know what to do with it. So if you've knit this before and your gauge was the patterns, what size did you knit? And was the sizing off for you, or did it work? Am I crazy? What is happening? I don't understand. But I just wanted to share that I too have knitting fails. And this is a pretty epic one. That is multiple days of knitting for me, and I don't get a lot of knitting time, so sad. Very sad. I just can't even. So I was mad last night. Some choice words were said in my head because I have children. I didn't say the F word that I was thinking of saying at that sweater. Instead, I channeled my energy. Joshua loves to wind yarn, and he asked if we could wind yarn. And I said, yes, buddy, yes, yes, we can. So I wound the yarn for my peach So Faded, because I know the So Faded pattern fits me. I made some minor modifications just to add waist shaping. But I know it fits me. I know my gauge. I know which needle to use. And I happen to have a free size 5 needle right now, because I was doing the colorwork 1 needle size up. Again, still tighter than the stated gauge. Just want to keep re-emphasizing that because, okay, I'm done. So, I now have caked yarn to make into my peach So Faded. I will cast on today and hopefully make up for all of the knitting time that I lost in that other sweater. This is Peepaloo Fields in the Cobbler colorway. I love it. So this will be my first color. My second color will be Hedgehog Fibers in the Monarch colorway. Sorry, they're a little messy because Joshua was making yarn cake towers with them last night. And sometimes, you know, your 4-year-old is behaving and he's not doing something destructive and he's not getting angry, so you just let him do it. So I just let him do it. So this is leftover from my Exploration Station shawl that I made last year, but I have a lot of it left. So I really wanted to use it because this is one of my favorite colors of Hedgehog Fibers. I love those hot pink pops of color with the orange. So that will be color 2. And then my color 3 will be this one, which is Angry Orchard by Full and Vine Yarns. And she had some of this in her shop this week, so I hope some of you were able to get it because it is a beautiful color. This has been in my stash for years. And it is time for it to make its grand appearance. That will be color number 3. Color number 4 has also been in my stash for a little while. I think it was last year. Last year, Shauna of Adelaide Cottage had a Gilmore Girls club, and it was beautiful. I loved all of the colors that I got from Shauna. I think it was only a 3-month subscription, and then when the next 3 months happened to come, I just couldn't afford to resubscribe. But if she ever does one again, I absolutely would jump on that bandwagon. and you should too. And she just moved her shop off of Etsy to AdelaideCottage.com, I think, or AdelaideCottageYarns.com. Just search on Google for Adelaide Cottage and you will find it. So this is on her Platinum Twinkle base. It is Silver Sparkle. And this is in the colorway Lorelei's Dream. That's one of my favorites. I think this was my favorite one of the ones that were in that subscription. That's 4 of them. And then the last one I didn't get to because Joshua was losing steam. He starts to kind of screw around with stuff, and he was running underneath of the yarn that was being wound and running around my Swift and ducking back under and pulling on it. So once he gets to that point, like, you got to finish up what you're doing and then don't do it anymore or it's going to go badly. I know my child. So this was the final installment. No. First installment of the Strange Brew Yarn Club from Bull and Vine Yarns, which is her most recent yarn club that she did. It is on the Volca base. I got it on Volca this time because I wanted to put them in sweaters. I believe it was either Volca or Footsie. And I really love her Volca base. It's very soft and nice. It is in the Alchemy colorway. So it's kind of the darkest one of my set. But again, you can see it has those nice rosy colors, peaches, browns. So it's going to come from Lorelei's Dream into this one. And judging from my last So Faded, this will probably end up being just like the tip of the sleeve up through the cuff. I may make this one full sleeved because my other one is 3/4 sleeve. I think that might be kind of fun to make it be a full sleeve. So I may do that. And it ended up being just the bottom of my sweater and then the really long ribbing. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then whatever's left of this one will probably go into a shawl because I've got this caramely color. I have a really pretty skein of Pagewood Farms Chugiak base. And I don't remember what the base or the colorway name is because I bought it like 2005 or something. It was before I read it in my stash on Ravelry. But it was knitted into a pair of socks, like one sock, for a really long time. And I eventually figured out, like, I'm just not into the super duper patterned socks. So this one was like grapevines with some baubles on the leg. It was beautiful, but I was like, I'm never gonna knit this other one. That's not where I am anymore. Early on in my knitting career, I knit a ton of patterned socks, like a ton of them. And I loved knitting patterned socks. That was my favorite thing to knit. I swore off, I'm never gonna knit sweaters. I'm not a sweater knitter, I'm a sock knitter. Here we are, folks. I am a sweater knitter. And I'm really not a sock knitter anymore, other than very basic patterns. But I do still have a lot of those beautiful socks, and I do wear them. So, there you go. I enjoy them, but I probably would not make them. So I acknowledged that truth about myself, unwound it, frogged it, washed it. It's ready to go. I want it to be in a shawl, so it will be with whatever's left of that. So that will be my peach So Faded. It will get on the needles today. And I'm excited about it. That one's going to be so cute. And I think it'll look amazing with a pair of jeans. Like peach and blue. I really love that color combination. It's just so pretty. So it's going to be really nice. So then getting into whips. Oh wait, let's finish out things to cast on. because this will get into acquisitions, which I only have one of for this week. That's okay. I'm saving for Rhinebeck. Saving my money for Rhinebeck. Trying to remind myself I'm saving my money for Rhinebeck. Because I want to buy stuff at Rhinebeck. And I would be really bummed out if this was my first year at Rhinebeck and we got up to Rhinebeck and I was like, I can only spend like $50 and get 2 skeins of yarn. I don't want it to be like that. It's a once in a lifetime chance, and so I want to make sure I can make the most of it. Okay, but I bought, for my 40th birthday, I bought myself a sweater's quantity of Jinx yarns in the DK base to make the Comfort Fade Cardi, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It uses the fade technique, but it is reverse stockinette, and it has a big shawl collar. I might add a belt to mine because I have 2 sweaters that are kind of similar with a shawl collar that are store-bought, and they both have belts, and I really love being able to just cinch them up and have them be all warm and cozy around me. So I think I will do that. I think I will make just like a small thin belt that I can use to tie around it, or to tie it up, or just to have it hanging there, because I think that still makes it look just a little bit, I don't know, structured and pulled together. So anyway, I had bought 1 skein of 4 different colors for the sweater, thinking, oh, I just made a So Faded sweater and it needed 1 skein of each of 4 colors, and that was more than enough to make it fit me. No, it's DK weight. I wasn't thinking about that it's that much less yardage in a DK weight skein. Plus, it's also full length sleeves and this gigantic shawl collar. Sorry about that. We ordered a generator, so it is coming today, and the delivery people just called me and said that they're 30 minutes out. So, now I've lost my rhythm. So anyway, I ordered a sweater's quantity for this sweater because I really wanted it. Didn't check the pattern. Didn't have enough yardage when I finally was like, oh, I'm going to cast that on. So I had to order more. And then, of course, Laura didn't carry the DK weight in her shop through the summer. So I had to wait until she started stocking DK again, which she just did on her last update. So I got 2 more skeins. So my colors for that are going to be the Cake is a Lie, the many cuts for this sweater, for this yarn. My husband called, and then we were chatting. He's got to get some shoes for the kids because Meg would need shoes before she starts school. So anyway, the yarn is from Jinx Yarns. She's the host of the Dyer's Notebook podcast, and you can find her shop on Etsy is where she sells, but there's a link to it from jinxyarns.com. So I got, I'll show them in order. This is the first one, which is called The Cake is a Lie. It is like a gray with purple, black, and what would that be, like rust color speckles. There's some of the purple ones. And then my next color is going to be Part of Your World. It's this one. So going a little more into reds with blues, and again that grayish kind of background. And that is the one that I got a second skein of. So here's my second skein of Part of Your World. So I'll have to look at these once I skein them up and figure out kind of what order I'm going to put them in. But you needed, It calls for 1 skein of the first color, 2 skeins of the final color, and then 2 skeins of each of the middle colors. So I have 1 skein of my first color, 2 skeins of each of the middle colors, and 1 skein of the final color. But when I looked at people's FOs, they said they didn't use as much of the final color, so I'm just going to use all of it. I will work all the way through my first color, and then I'm just going to knit all the way through each of my balls of yarn. And hopefully that will make it be enough. But if not, that's the great thing about fades, is that you can get more and kind of work it in because it doesn't have to be the same dye lot. So these two, here, this one's the Part of Your World on her Merino DK base, 231 yards, and it's a DK weight. I love this color. It's so beautiful. So that's going to be the next color. Then my third color will be Land of Glaze. So I bought a 2nd skein of that. This one is, it's really pretty consistent. I mean, it's a little more on the orange side of things. So I think I will do this one leading from Part of Your World and into this one, because this one has a little bit less orange in it and a little more blue, which my final, or sorry, a little more purple, which my final color is purple, and I'll show you that in a second. So this is Land of Glaze. And then my final color, I love this color so much, is Never Ender. So it is a deep purple with black. Yeah, that's pretty true to color. So that's going to be my Comfort Fade Cardi. So this will be kind of the bottom color and the ribbing. I would like another color in between there too, and there is one that's a Hedgehog Fibers DK, but I don't remember the name of it, and it's got some very dark reds and then purples. So if I don't feel like I've got enough once I get through the first 3 colors, I may buy that color to make a better transition between these two, but I really don't mind if it's a little more stark for the end, because again, this will be kind of that shawl collar, the cuffs, and the bottom ribbing, so it will be more like a contrast for the trim. I think that's good. And all of them have this deep purple in them in some way, shape, or form. Even the Cake is a Lie, you can see that it's got hints of that purple, like that. So it's definitely coordinating, even if it isn't as fadey. So that will probably also get cast on, but I have to gauge swatch because it's DK. I haven't worked with DK in quite a while, so I don't know what my gauge is going to be. Took a really long time to show that. Grief. So then the next whip I've been working on is my s'mores hat, and I really just did a couple of rows on this, but it's been a while since I've touched it, so I wanted to pick it up and show it to you. The yarn I'm using for this is the alpaca sock base, which I think is maybe One Fine Gnome from No Makers. This is the s'mores colorway, and it made a self-striping effect. So I'm doing a sock head hat with it for camping, or just for wearing all the time, because s'mores are for always. And it has a little tea bag progress keeper on it. I believe this was from Sugar Tots, and I really like it. This yarn is super nice to work with, and it has a really soft halo to it, so it's going to be a really nice hat when it's done. Let's go to the sock. I really feel like I'm going to get interrupted by the generator being delivered. So, you know, there's that. So I showed this on the last podcast. I have one sock complete. It is the blueberry waffle pattern on, again, some creatively dyed sock yarn that I got from my mom as leftovers from her socks. So it's a very light, what is that called? Celadon base, and then tons of speckles, just super, super speckly. I have finished the leg on the second sock, and I'm working on the heel flap. So we had to go to the DMV to get our license plates changed over, and we waited for, I don't know, two and a half hours to get completely done with that, and we still have to go back for the other car. But I was able to knit on my sock, so of course that makes the waiting not as bad. So these should be done in fairly short order. It's still a little bit too warm to wear socks for Meg when she did wear a pair yesterday, just in the morning when she was running around. So those should be done fairly soon. I'm doing them on 56 stitches because this is a really thick sock yarn, sort of like Patton's Croy level of thickness. So not a sport weight, but pretty close to a sport weight. And yeah, I just, you know, made up how many rows to do on the heel flap based on looking at her arch and stuff, and then knitted them till they fit her feet. And I will pretty much use up most of this sock yarn. This is how much I have left, and I have the foot left to do. So I think I'll finish it and maybe have enough for a Hexie puff if I'm lucky. So that's that one. And then with the return of the cooler weather, I have brought out my ton stitch blanket that never ends again. This is knit out of Cascade Eco Duo in the zebra colorway. It is all natural colors of alpaca and merino. It's a 50-50 blend of alpaca and merino. It is non-superwash. I am crazy for making a blanket out of it. I realize this, and that's okay with me. This was free yarn for those of you just joining me. I shared this in my very first podcast that I started knitting this. It was free yarn from someone in my mother's knitting group at the time. It's like a yarn stash dive, and it was knit partially into a very, very drapey sweater. I frogged that sweater. I have knit all of that yarn. I am now on the final cake of the yarn from that stash dive, and then I purchased one additional skein because I feel like I want the blanket to be just a little bit bigger. So I'm using the 10 stitch blanket pattern by Frankie Brown. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. You start in the center, you knit outward, and you're only ever working 10 stitches at a time. So here it is in all of its beautiful glory. I intend to use this as a couch blanket for us to snuggle up under, especially with the nice Connecticut winters. We tend to keep our house pretty cool. We keep it around 65 during the day. We let it drop down to 63 at night. We do have a pellet stove in our living room. So I imagine sitting under this on the large love seat that we have in there next to the pellet stove, and yeah, just cuddling up. But I love it. It's so, I love how the patterning is kind of all over the place. It's very random, very modern Art Nouveau. Yeah, because I have not cared at all about how the blocks have fallen. I've just kind of attached the next ball and kept on knitting. I'm knitting it on a size 7 needle. I'm using some Clover bamboo double points. that I've had literally since my very first project ever when I learned to knit. I think I knit my very first scarf ever on these needles. But a 10-stitch blanket, I definitely recommend using double points because you're just going back and forth and slipping the stitches so much that, yeah, a circular just really doesn't work. And if it slips out, it's no big deal because you only have 10 stitches to pick up. It's really not a big deal. And you're, again, attaching it as you go. So, yeah, when you're finished, you just bind off. And you just have 10 stitches to bind off, and then you're done. It's all edged and everything. So, I really love it. I'm very excited that I am able to work on it again because it is very warm. So when you're working on it, it's got to be cool or you're going to get super toasty. So then we are to last whip. I have been knitting some Hexie puffs, and I will knit more of these. I think this is the blanket I'm going to work on for the Harry Potter blanket cowl that Vegan Jilly and Shauna from Adelaide Cottage. Vegan Jilly is from the Knitting Broomstick podcast. Shauna is from the Adelaide Cottage podcast. They are co-hosting a blanket cowl that will be a year-long cowl, knitting Harry Potter themed blankets or knitting Harry Potter themed yarn into a blanket. I have a lot of Harry Potter themed minis from various different dyers, and I actually will probably open up a thread because I would like to do some swaps. So if you have some scraps that you would like to do a mini skein swap with me, let me know. If they're Harry Potter themed, I would love to swap with you for some more Harry Potter themed minis. I've got you know, you've watched the podcast. I've got Yarn at Home Mom, Vine, Jinx, No Makers, Bad Wolf Girl Studios. Those are the big indie dyers that I buy. And then I have a lot of commercial sock yarn as well. So yeah, just let me know. I'm going to knit through the ones that I have. But in anticipation of that, I have tried to knit a lot of my non-Harry Potter themed Hexie Puff yarns up so that I will be ready to knit some only Harry Potter themed minis. So I've knit this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. It's really hard to show because they're small. So I'm going to tie all of these onto my blanket. It's big enough to cover Joshua now. And then I'll just have a section that's all Harry Potter themed, which will be really fun. But I want to get everything tied on. Oh, I have one more. These are all opal minis from the this one, this one, this one, and this one, I think, are all opal minis from the opal advent calendar. I don't know if it was Sarah from Love Sock Wool or someone else sent me a couple of the skeins, so I've been knitting those up into Hexie Puffs. So that's what I've got going on in here. Yep, there's one of the labels. Because I've never actually purchased an opal advent calendar. So I just keep this little bag next to the bed. It's got my needles, my tiny crochet hook, a little bit of polyfill, and then some minis to knit. So I'm going to be doing that. And now we are to FOs. I'm surprised the truck is not here yet. I think it might be here right now. Oh my God. They're going to back into my driveway. Oh my God. They're crazy. Our driveway is like pretty steep and very curvy. Wow. This is amazing. Okay, I gotta go get my generator. I'll be back. Generator acquired! Now, if we lose power in the wintertime, we can still have power, which is good. Because our heat doesn't work without the blower. And that was the thing, that and the well pump were what we were most concerned about, because we have a well here. And so pulling water up out of the well, or also the sewage pump. Our downstairs bathroom requires the sewage pump when it flushes, and also our washer and dryer for pushing the water out into the leach field requires the sewage pump. So very important to be able to not have sewage in your house. So yeah, now we have a generator, which I'm happy about. We're ready for the winter. Okay, so now we're at FOs. Perfect timing, because now I'm not going to get interrupted showing stuff. So the first FO is a knitting FO, and it is my Zweig pullover. So I finished it. This is a pattern by Boylan Knitworks, who is Caitlin Hunter on everything, because that's her name. But Boylan Knitworks is her design company. So this is knit out of a merino silk yak blend that is undyed. That's this color. And then this color is hedgehog fibers in the teacup colorway. Again, something that I really love, and I have a lot of this left, so I probably will be able to knit a pair of socks out of it. And I had started a pair of socks with a neon pink heel, so that probably will happen at some point, because I did really love them. I think they were mercury socks that I started. Anyway, let's take a closer look, shall we? So the yoke is knit in a beautiful lace pattern. I love the speckles. I love how they really just add a little bit of extra interest to it. I went up a needle size for the color work portion. I knit most of the sweater on a size 5. I think I used a size 3 for the ribbing, then a size 6 for the color work bits, and I went back to a size 5 for the lace, because lace is super stretchy. I did go ahead and do all of the 11 billion cable crosses because they were worth the extra time, but by the second sleeve I was ready to never do another cable cross again. They really, I think, bring the sweater to another level, though. Yeah, they just kind of finish it out, and they make it not as boring, especially because I chose an undyed color for the body. I think it would have been really boring for me to knit this much stockinette, but I did like how they looked. I think I knit this on a 2.75 because I couldn't find my size 3, and then I repeated that for the cuffs. On the cuffs, on the pattern, it made them have, like I said, a little mushroomy thing where this kind of bloomed over. Mine don't do that. I made them to the right length for my arms so that I don't have that excess. Just a style choice. Your mileage may vary for what you want to do there, but that's what I decided to do. I knit it in a size, so 39, I think, bust, 39 or 40, very close to my measurements. Again, like all Caitlin Hunter patterns call for a crap ton of ease. 6 inches of ease to me is a lot of ease. That is not kind of how I wear my garments, so I knit it with maybe an inch of positive ease to maybe 0 ease. And I like how it fits a lot. I'm not going to wear it today because it's warm now, but maybe next time I podcast I will have it on, because I haven't blocked it, and obviously I haven't woven in the ends yet. but all the knitting is done. So this is my first completed sweater for the Knit All the Rhinebeck sweater cal that I'm hosting. Obviously I can't win prizes in my own cal, but the prize is that I have another choice of sweater for Rhinebeck. And hopefully I can finish my Peach So Faded as well before Rhinebeck, which is coming, guys, October 20th and 21st. I think our Rhinebeck, October 19th, is Indie Untangled. I am going to do all of the Rhinebeck stuff. My mom is coming to visit probably for like a week. So I'm taking off a lot of days around there. It'll be really fun to have her here and to go to Rhinebeck for my very first time. There's going to be a lot of people there. So I just found out Sarah from Love Sock Wool is going to be there. Shauna is going to be there from Adelaide Cottage. Kristen will be there from Bull and Wine Yarns. Laura from the Dyer's Notebook. Hexie Thump will be there. And I'm just really excited to meet everybody. So if you are going to Rhinebeck, please let me know because I want to meet you. So yeah, there's my Zweig and it's all done. I love it. So excited about it. And the last FO is a sewing FO. This was a whip when I moved from Ohio and I had to stick it in the box as a whip because I didn't have time to complete it before the moving happened, and I just got back to pulling it out and getting it done. So kind of screwed up a seam here. I might have to go back over that again. Maybe I did go back over it. I did. I went over it again. Anyway, there were a couple places where it puckered and I had to go back and rip that little part out on the seam and then go back over it again to unpucker it because this jersey fabric was slippery as snot. It was so hard to work with. But it is a jersey fabric from Girl Charlie Fabrics. This is the Cocoa Dress by Tilly and the Buttons. I took a picture of this with me wearing it. I didn't have it hemmed yet, and I have since hemmed it, but it gives you an idea of how it fits me. I'm super happy with the fit. It was right on the edge of maybe being a little bit too small. It's perfect, but I would not have changed even like a millimeter because this is about as perfect of a fit as I could get. So on this pattern, I believe that I did the size 5 neck. No, I went down on the neck size. Size 3 on the neck. Size 5 for the bust. And then back down to a size 3 for the waist and down. The sleeves, I believe I kept as a size 5, or I may have done a size 4. That made it a little bit more difficult to fit them into the arm side portion. I struggled with that a little bit, and I had to actually stretch it a little bit to get it in there, but it's okay. It worked out in the end. So it's just an all-over polka dot on a minty green background. I love the colors of polka dots. I think it would be really fun to pair it with some bright colored tights in the winter. Maybe like yellow or orange, or I can also go with chocolatey brown in the winter. And I do have some chocolate brown like leggings. So chocolate brown leggings, again, those brown knee-high boots that I'm searching out, and this dress. I went with the full sleeve version this time. I've always done it with the shorter 3/4 length sleeves, but I wanted something I'd be able to wear into the winter as well. So yeah, it does not look like anything, just holding it up. It doesn't have a lot of shape, which is kind of great. So if you are thinking about sewing something with jersey fabric, this is a great first pattern to do. So again, Tilly and the Buttons, Cocoa Dress. I did not put the pockets on. It has optional pockets down here. I just think if it's going to be a work dress, like for me, that makes it look a little bit less dressy and a little bit more casual. So I will make one at some point that has pockets on it, but I wanted to leave this one pocket free. So that is done, and I will be able to wear it to work now, which I'm very excited about. I'm just very excited. Have you noticed that I'm very excited? So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have to share. I'm looking around. Yes, that's everything I have to share. So in just general chatter, I've been super busy with work. I finally got to take a few days off, one of which was spent partially going to the DMV. Yesterday was a more normal day off, and I got a ton done. I finished that dress. I drafted and cut out pattern pieces for another dress. I got a ton of knitting done on the Sunset Highway pullover, and then realized I had to rip it all out. And I wound all that yarn for the So Faded. Did I do anything else yesterday? I cross-stitched a little bit. Yeah, I cross-stitched a little bit on my Sweetest Pie stitch along. But I don't know that you would really be able to tell. I think I was stitching on that strawberry rhubarb pie slice. But it's coming along, so when I have a little bit more visible progress to show, I definitely will share that with you guys. I played outside with the kids for a while. Yeah, it was just a good day. We played Legos. Joshua and I played Legos in the basement. He is wanting to play Legos every day now, which is good because he's actually playing in the play basement, but he's also really controlling about how he plays Legos. So if you don't play Legos the way that he wants you to, i.e. you deviate from the story he has in his little head, he gets very upset. So my husband and I have about so much patience for playing Legos with him, and then we sort of get annoyed with it. Megwin's sort of going through a phase where she wants to be alone and doesn't want to play with him. So we're kind of dealing with that and making sure that she knows that she needs to think about his feelings too. And yeah, it's a struggle. I think there's always a struggle with siblings, right? Of them simultaneously wanting and not wanting to be together. I get it. So yeah, we're very happy that the school year is going to begin again soon. I think some structure will be really good for her, and getting to make some new friends and kind of settle back into the routine and get a little bit of a return to normality. So yeah, I think that'll be good. So they are finishing up at Target. They're going to buy some shoes for school, and then they'll be on their way home. We're probably going to do some lunch. There was something else I was going to... Oh, I think tomorrow we're going to go buy some more fish. Feels like we've bought a couple of fish, and they've all died. So we bought a purple glowfish and a... was it a goby? Yeah, a goby whose name was Maynard. I think Maynard is dead. I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. And they do hide a lot. A bumblebee goby. Yeah, they hide a lot, so they don't come out very frequently, but I've never not seen him for this long. So I think poor Maynard is gone. And so little Pinky, who came with us all the way from Ohio and survived the long and treacherous journey, is our only fish that's still alive. He's a fighter, that one. And our two japonica shrimp are both still alive, getting bigger and bigger all the time. Those guys are fighters too. They are the best japonicas I think my husband and I have ever had, and we've had several aquariums over the years. So we need to get a couple friends for Pinky, because glowfish are community fish. They're communal fish. He needs friends to school with, and we just haven't had good luck with the other colors of glowfish. So I think we should just get more pink ones. I don't know. Or yellow. Our yellow ones have seemed to survive the best as well. The purple and blue and green, no, they're just not as strong. So we will get a couple of friends for Pinky, and we'll go from there. I would love to have another Maynard, because the Bumblebee Goby was so fun to watch. I really liked it. It was so cute. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to get one that will do better. I don't know. I think it might have been the stress of the glowfish dying. Like, if you don't catch that fish are dying quickly enough and get the body out, then it can create ammonia in the water, which can be toxic to the other fish. So you have to really be on top of it. And we have a really tiny tank. It is an 8-gallon custom-made tank, so it can very quickly go awry, and I am basically taking care of it. They're supposed to be Megwin's fish, but they're really my fish. So anyway, enough fish babble. Yeah, other than that, not a whole heck of a lot going on. I'm going to try to call my mom, maybe my dad this weekend. I haven't chatted with my dad since we moved. I sent him a couple of texts, but I haven't got a chance to actually chat with him. And my mom, I've only chatted with her like twice since we moved. We just keep missing each other. So yeah, that'll be fun. And I think the kids will like chatting with their grandparents also. So yeah, I'm babbling now, so I will let you guys go. The Stash Your Shelf Challenge is still going strong, so keep posting things in there. We have the Knit All the Rhinebeck Sweaters cow, which will be going up until Rhinebeck. I will close it, I think, the day before and draw winners so that I can communicate with you on what you might like me to get you at Rhinebeck. If you would like me to get you a skein of yarn, or stitch markers, or I don't know, a needle gauge or something else. I'd rather get something that is specific that that person would really love, and that'll give me like a day or two to try to get in contact with them before I go. So until next time, enjoy doing the things that you love, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.